say good morning with the Highwayman. My name's Jason.
Good morning, everybody, and I am Steve, and it's absolutely blooming lovely to see you on this beautiful, sunny summer's day.
It
Jay,
is a lovely day,
looking
isn't it?
absolutely bloody sharp, mate. Do you know what, Jay? I've got to say this. It blows me away. The different colours that you wear make you
Yeah,
look so very, very different. So there you are, all in black today,
yes,
looking chiseled, if you don't mind me saying,
thank you.
and looking like a completely different guy again. I don't know how you do it.
I'm
You're
one
very
of
good.
I'm of one of three triplets, and we recycle every week. We swap because we'll do it the same. So my other brother will be in anytime, next week to just give you a slightly different look, almost identical, but not quite.
I like it.
That's what it is. That's
I
what it is.
like it. All these years I've known you, I never knew that.
We just kind of slip in and out, all the time, as you do. We like a bit of slipping in and out, unnoticed. So today's subject, mate. Today's subject is quite a deep one. I think this could be emotional. This could be emotional. We're talking about men's health, basically, men's mental health, and the high rates of suicides among men. And I've looked today at some statistics for England. This is just for England. Okay, in 2021, 5,219 people committed suicide. That's 14 a day. So depending on how long this goes on, this video, someone in England will have committed suicide. And you're actually 3 times more likely to be a man than it is to be a woman. So it kind of is a real issue for men. And the other thing is quite interestingly, the highest rate of suicides are people in my age group, 50 to 54. And I think I'll sit and analyze this, and I do think that I know why, and a lot of it's to do with our upbringing.
Okay.
When we were kids, we were left to deal with things on our own.
Yeah.
You didn't, if something, if your parents, if you did something wrong or something wasn't going right, you didn't go and talk to anybody about it. You just were left to deal with it. We kind of used to joke that like therapy was an American thing because there was no such thing as therapy, was there? I mean, there was no ADHD. There was no ADHD for the naughty kids. There was no therapy. We just really got left to our own devices. And I think
and also,
cool.
I was going to say, and also, yeah, you're absolutely dead right. And you were discouraged from showing any form of emotion.
Yeah. Man up.
Yeah, there you
man
go.
up.
Exactly.
Man up.
Yeah.
And there wasn't affection like you have now. Like people didn't like you never hugged anybody when we were young. Even your parents didn't really hug you. I mean, even now, I've got 2 brothers, and people might find this a bit odd. When I see my brothers, we shake hands. We don't hug. And I do hug people. I hug my close friends. I think I hug you when I see you. But we don't do. It's never it's not a proper hug, though, is it? You know what I mean? It's kind of a gesture of a hug. It's kind of a gesture of a hug. Yeah, but it isn't that. It's awkward. I always think when I hug people, I think I've got one friend that actually hugs me with some manner of affection. I kind of feel like he's not seen me for a while, and it's a genuine kind of like, I really appreciate you being there. And I think it's noticeable to me. I always think I like hugging him because I kind of feel like there's some kind of emotional bond there. And I think we don't do that. And I mean, I can't remember, I was thinking about this. I was trying to remember who said this to me, but I remember a lad who I used to go to school with. I just remember somebody telling me this, who I know he was a tough kid at school. And he would say to me that if I got home and told my dad that I'd been beat up at school, he'd beat me up. And that's kind of the mentality of times where we grew up, that you just could not show weakness wasn't allowed. And I think we're still dealing with it.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's and it is, and I have to say, I do witness this, and I certainly won't say on a daily basis, but certainly on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
So you know what I do for a living.
Yeah.
So I work on the railway, and I spend now with the job that I do now, I am literally on the rails pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
And I've mentioned this to you before. and because part of my job is we have to go on a thing called on call once every few weeks, where we're available 24 hours a day for so many days. And there's always a suicide. There is always a suicide. And yeah, mostly it's males, I hate to say, and mostly it is people our age group. There's the odd one or two as well, which is incredibly sad, which doesn't drop into that genre, but by and large it is. And I'm going to tell you a quick tale about when I was a trained guard. So this is before I do what I do now, and it was a very early morning train, and we were going out to Grimsby, and there was nobody on it. There was absolutely nobody on it. It was the driver, there was myself, and that was it. It was an empty train. So we were going up to Grimsby, and to be fair, we would have sort of turned around at Grimsby, headed back towards Lincoln, and we'd have took passengers then. Seriously. So anyway, we do this really early on. So we're going up there. In fact, it was still dark when we're heading into Grimsby, and we stop at a signal, and the driver, you can talk to each other in the different cabs, and just with the telephone, you see. So anyway, the driver rang me, so I'm talking to the driver, and the driver says, "Oh, there's something wrong with us." And they honestly went, "Christ!" He said, "Someone's just popped up in front of me." So bear in mind, we were on the rail. He said, "Someone's just popped up in front of me." I said, "What?" He says, "A bloke's just popped up. He's literally popped up in front of me, and he's gone." I said, "Well, I'll come up." So I went up the other end, and we're looking out the window to try and find this person. Can't see them. Anyway, the signaller rings back and says, "Right, I'm going to give you the signal. You can go now." So the driver and I said, "Well, we can't do that. What if they're laying underneath the bloody thing and we go trundling off?" So the driver got out. I didn't. I stayed on board the train, and I'm walking up and down the train, looking out the window. You see. So anyway, the driver gets out, goes underneath the torch, looking around, can't see this person. So I'm wandering up and down, looking out the window. Get to the train back again, and I can see just the other side of the tracks all this rustling in the undergrowth, if you like. Anyway, this bloke comes out of it, and I said, "Oh, mate," I said, "we've been looking all over the place for you." Anyway, he came over and he started talking to me, and it was one of the saddest conversations, Jay, I've ever had. And it was basically him telling me, he was a lovely talking bloke. You know, he wasn't, and he was telling me what a piece of shit he was, how he doesn't deserve to live. The people that he loves deserve a lot better than he can give. And so matter of fact, it wasn't, he was so a matter of fact, and I was quite emotional, I suppose. So anyway, I said, "Look, come on in. Look, I'll open the door. Come on in, and you'll have to climb up, but we'll whiz on up to Grimsby, and I'll buy you a cup of coffee and all the other bit." He says, "No," he said, "I really appreciate it." He said, "I really appreciate it." He said, "But no," he said, "Today's the day to die," and then went wandering off up the tracks. So anyway, we have people that come and deal with this. So we made a few calls. Some people rocked up. Oh, we can't move now at this point. So an hour later, anyway, the two people that went looking for him bring him back, and this bloke is sobbing. Absolutely. So he's being held in between these two blokes that have been dead. Incidentally, they found him hanging off the bridge. He decided because we'd stopped all the trains. So he couldn't do it that way or just jump off the bridge and kill himself. And they literally, he was hanging off the bridge, and they were able to grab his arms and pull him back up on the bridge. And I'll always remember seeing them bring him back up the tracks, and this bloke it was like he wasn't drunk, but it was like he was absolutely legless, you know what I mean? And he was sobbing, absolutely sobbing, as these people brought him back up the tracks.
Wow.
And sadly, that's not an unusual story.
No.
Since that one, I've had so many. In fact, we all now get trained on suicide intervention.
Yeah, you should do. Yeah, definitely. Especially working in the railways, There's a guy, I did a life coaching course, and the guy's name was Kane Ramsey. He was the life coach, ex-military. And one of the stories he always tells at the beginning of his is he tried to kill himself 3 times. I think the first time he tried to hang himself and the branch snapped. The second times he tried to kill himself with a train, and he missed the last train. And there was a third time he tried to kill himself. I don't know what it was, but he kind of concluded at the end of the time that it really wasn't his time to go. and sort of turned his life around and became a life coach. But so you know, it is sad, and it is people that just kind of feel like that there is no other way out. It's really it's sad. But I'll tell you a little story about me now. So this is so about how men can't talk. So it's a couple of years ago. So the other thing with English called, we have banter, don't we? So banter is something where you're pretty mean to your friends, aren't you? You know, like if I'd not seen Steve for like a couple of years, maybe, and he's put 20 pounds on, you know, I might sit, you know, I wouldn't sort of look and think, oh my God, he's put a bit of weight on, and keep it to myself. I go, bloody hell, Steve, you're looking a bit fat, aren't you? You've been eating the mince pies. And no, that's banter, isn't it? And so you kind of, and it's the thing you do with your friends, you know, and it's kind of part of culture. And it's one of those things where you can't, you have to have a thick skin to be able to deal with it. Now, I had a situation I was out with some of my friends and we were having a bit of banter. And one of my friends said something to me and it really kind of triggered me. And I didn't say anything. And it kind of hit home a period of life when I was probably in my mid-teens, where I was had a lot of anxiety about something. And came home and I had this feeling, this like crushing feeling in my stomach. And I went to bed that night. I couldn't sleep. And I didn't sleep at all. Like, not even for a couple of minutes. And next day, got up, deleted all my social media. There's 4 of us in this group, just the 4 of us. Taught myself like a little WhatsApp group, you know, that we send jokes and stuff like that. And taught myself out the group. And next night, slept for like 3 hours maybe. And so I drive for a living, so I've got a lot of time, empty head time. And so I've got this anxiety and these thoughts of what's been said, of what, you know, about going back in time. I can only describe it as what I would understand as post-traumatic stress. It was kind of like I was reliving sort of a period in my life that wasn't brilliant. And and it was just it was just non-stop, like this in my head, like, because I'm on my own all day. I haven't got, my brain's not consumed with anything, and so just goes round and round and round and round in my head. And next night again, can't sleep, go to work, the same thing. I'm exhausted because my brain just won't switch off. It's just going on and on and on. And I'm deciding, you know, I'm never going to go out again. I don't want to see people. And it was just, and Sarah's like, you know, what's wrong with you? Nothing. I don't want to talk about it. So I just said, I don't want to talk about it. Don't want to talk about it. And it's just on and on and on. And I think about the Wednesday it was, one of the mate in this WhatsApp group of ours, he kind of said, "Oh, I noticed you come out of the group. You're all right." I went, "Oh, I've just not been feeling myself lately," and that was kind of it. And anyway, I knew that I had to talk to somebody. I'm like, if I don't get this out, this is going to consume me, because it was consuming me. It was like relentless. My brain would just not switch off. And I reached out to a friend of mine. So I've got a friend, he lives in Liverpool. So, and he used to be a life coach. He's a bit older than me. He's in his 60s. I thought he's one person I can talk to. A, he's done the life coaching. And B, he lives so far away. Anything I say to him, he's not going to repeat to any of my friends. You know what I mean? It's not, you know, because you know the anxiety was, it's almost like people could see me. You know, it was like that this thing that, you know, I just didn't want people to see me. And so I arranged to ring him, and I rang him up, and I said, look, I need to speak to you. You're the only person, I texted him, you're the only person to speak to. Can we just have a bit of time, just have a bit of a chat? Right. So I rang him up and he says, you know, how are you? Yeah, you're right. He said, I can tell you're really upset, Jay. You know, he said, you know, what's on your mind? Talk to me. And I said, I can't. Just couldn't talk to him. Could not open up. Just, you know, I knew I had to get it out. I knew how to talk to somebody, and I couldn't. And eventually, that night, I just thought, and I spoke to Sarah, and I told her what was on my mind, and it was just, you just can't speak, so I understand, people say, men should talk about and open up about their feelings and stuff like that, and I just couldn't get it out, and I just couldn't. I had the perfect opportunity. I was there. So, you talk about therapy and stuff like that. If you get somebody in a room to talk, you're not necessarily going to get them to say what they need to say. And again, the friend who said what he said to me, it was just a bit of a bit of joke with him, but he didn't realise, how it kind of affected me, and nobody did. And I think, and it was only, and even now, I don't think they know. The one lad that knew I was not right, he added me back into the group, and someone said, "Oh, did you leave the group?" I said, "Oh yeah, I made a mistake. I hit the wrong button. Meant to press something else." And nothing more has been said. But nothing's been said. But there's all these people are carrying around all this kind of pain, and they've got no outlet for it. And as I say, we don't speak. And I'll say to anybody now, if you see one of your friends withdrawing, or suddenly finding themselves not taking part, not go and ask them what's wrong with them, because there's something wrong. There's something wrong with that person. People don't do that. People don't do that for no reason. That's so out of character, and this is so out of character for me. But and this was only 2 years ago. But it was kind of consuming me from within. You know what I mean? And people don't ask. People never. Oh, he's got. Oh, what's up with it? Oh, he's a bit grumpy today, and that's kind of what we put it down to.
Did you feel so when you finally were able to talk to Sarah about it? Did you sort of like feel a bit of release from it
Yes.
there
Yeah,
afterwards?
definitely. Yeah, definitely.
It did help by
because
being
also
able to...
it didn't sound as bad once I got it out. Because as I'm an overthinker. I'm a massive overthinker, and when things are good, if I'm planning something, I plan it in detail in my head, and I'm a massive overthinker. But when things are bad, and in fact, I think it was this time, and I googled, is it bad when you self-dialogue a lot? Because I talk to myself in my head all the time, and they said, well, no, unless only if it's negative. And I tell you what, the other thing I did is I started to listen to positivity podcasts, and I can't tell you how quickly things change from that. So again, if you're somebody who's watching this who is struggling, and I tell you what I'm going to do, I'm going to put on the bottom of this whole video, I'm going to put the Samaritan's number for anybody who is struggling.
Good man.
But if you're struggling, download a podcast about positivity. The difference it makes is amazing. Just having those positive words being put into your head, because what happens is, like you said, that fella, you start telling yourself that you're a bad person, that you're not very good to be around, and nobody really needs you and stuff like that. And I think that just goes over and over in your head. And if you're like me, if you overthink like me, then you're probably worse than a lot of people. And again, if I'd had a job where I was busy, where my brain was doing something all the time, I'm constantly, you're talking to people constantly, and if you've got that, then that's a distraction, and that can help you get away from it. But if you're on your own, people who are self-employed, people who work alone, and all you've got in your head are your thoughts, it can sometimes be a really dangerous place to be. Place to be.
That, do you know what? That took some guts to share that, mate.
Yeah, thank you, mate.
But it's so important to do it. So important.
Yeah.
And you're bang on with a positivity. They do say negativity breeds negativity. It certainly does. And by the same token, positivity does breed positivity.
Yes.
Did you ever see the Jim Carrey film? I can't remember what it's called, where he had to say yes to everything. He was one of the most negative people in the world.
Rings a bell, but I don't think I've seen it.
Well, basically, he would just he didn't want to know anyone, and he would make any excuse not to go out, do anything, and do the other one. And anyway, he got dragged onto this course. He didn't want to go, no, a seminar, and basically he got challenged to just say yes to everything.
Right.
For so long, I think it was a week, for 7 days, he's got to say yes to everything, and it completely changed his life.
Oh, really?
Completely. Even the real negative stuff that he couldn't say no to it. Something really good came off the back of it because he'd done that, and that was quite interesting. You said as well about go and speak to people if they look down and all the other bits of it. That's something else that we do a lot of. And I'd like to, if I may, just put more of a positive spin
Yeah.
on this. I do know the outcome of this one, and it's quite a lovely outcome. And this was actually on one of the stations.
Yeah.
And this particular person, well, to be fair, I don't know how far I can go with this, but to begin with, I didn't think it was a chap
No.
because of the way they were dressed.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, they were giving off all the signs that they were going to do something.
Yeah.
So I started talking to them, and we ended up having a cup of coffee together and all the other bits and pieces, and yeah, they certainly were going to call it a day
Yeah.
because the way that they lived their lifestyle, they didn't feel they were accepted and all the other bits
Yes.
and pieces. Anyway, that was probably 2.5 years ago now,
Yeah.
and I've stayed in contact with that person,
Yes.
who is now able to live their life exactly as they want to live it,
Yeah.
wearing and doing what they want to do, and it's perhaps one of the happiest people I've ever met.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean,
Loves life.
I say to everybody, nothing in this world is everything's temporary. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Everything can change. Your life can change tomorrow with a phone call. You could win the lottery this weekend, or meet the love of your life, or anything. Nothing in this world is permanent. It's all temporary. So wherever you are now, and I also think, and experience has taught me sometimes that the bad things in life happen to actually make room, for the good things. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to get to that point of being in a low to get to the high, because you can't get to one place without being at the other, and that's kind of an important thing. But
do you think as well then? Do you think as well then? Having said that, because of the life that we all lead, we all
yeah,
lead. To be fair, on the whole, there are people, bless their hearts, that are homeless, but we live a fairly cosseted life.
yeah,
On the whole, we have technology that helps us enormously. We have. It's not like, I mean, I go back to when our parents were first starting out.
yeah.
They were chuffed to bits if they could have a fridge. Do you know
Oh
what I
no,
mean?
yeah, yeah,
They would have
yeah,
saved up and got a fridge, and that was a massive thing. Now we expect our homes to be filled with all the bits and pieces, and if you've got any less than 3 tellies, well, frankly,
yeah,
there's something wrong.
yeah.
It's a very, very different thing. So our experiences of feeling low or dejected and are really not, or hopelessness, are really on a bit of a different parallel, I
I don't,
think, to what
I don't.
people used to.
I think the problem is now for people generally, is I think when you've got the likes of social media, is
Yeah,
everybody looks like they're having a wonderful time, no matter how bad it is. So
that's
if you
true.
haven't got 6 tellies and a Lamborghini, I see a lot of these like positivity podcasts saying, by the time you're 30, you should have 6 houses and a Rolex and a Lamborghini and all this kind of. So everyone's got this kind of like unrealistic expectation of life, and you see pictures on it. I mean, I've I like to travel. I've been on the beach at sunsets. Me and the wife will go to the Caribbean. We like to have a walk on the beach at sunrise. Yeah.
Yeah,
The amount of influencers you'll see, and I've seen girls on the beach at 6 a.m. in their lingerie with a flowing like dressing gown, and they've got the phone in the little lighting thing and all the rest of it, on their own, taking photographs to try and say, look at me, I'm having a fabulous time. Well, no, you're not having a fabulous time. If you've had to get up at 6 a.m, put all your makeup on and stuff, you're on your own. There's no one even taking your
raging
photo.
hangover.
Yeah, work in it to try and prove to everybody you're having a great life. And I think, but there's people watching that thinking, oh God, she's so lucky. She's having a holiday of a lifetime. Well, she's not. I mean, I saw 3 girls on a boat trip, and 2 of them were just we were on this boat, for probably an hour and a half. The whole time, two of them were just taking photos of the one person. They weren't enjoying the music, they weren't enjoying the drinking, they were just taking all the photos of this girl. And again, for Instagram or whatever, to say, look at me, I'm having a great time. So people have an unrealistic expectation of what life should be.
I think
And
we're being
also,
materialistic as well.
yeah, we are.
We place far too much emphasis on things as
Yeah,
opposed to time and
experiences.
experience.
Yeah. But the other thing, going back to what I said about not being able to talk and not being able to open up, and it's a good thing and bad thing in both equal measure, really, because now we have this thing where the victim mentality is sort of trending. So to say, the amount of people that say, oh, I've got mental health problems, like
Oh, I see. Yeah.
it's like it's something that they talk about so openly and so freely now. And I think the people who just sit and suffer in silence, who put on the brave face and smile every day, who are breaking inside, I get missed, because all the ones that are screaming and screaming for it all the time, I think the ones that you don't see coming. I always think about Chester Bennington. Chester Bennington from Lincoln Park. He committed suicide about 4 or 5 years ago now. And there's a video. Right. There's a video of him. I think he's at a kid's birthday party or somebody's birthday party the day before, laughing and joking. And it's literally the day before, and he looks like he's having the best time. And then the day after, he killed himself. Another interesting point I saw on a TikTok video the other day, and it was, tell me who helped you out of the lowest point of your life. And there was a lot of people were like, my wife, my husband, my father, my kids, my dog, my friends, and all that kind of stuff. But there were so many men. It was all men. Me, no one, me, no one. And like, you just want to hug those people and just sort of say, you're not alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because people don't talk. People don't talk.
So what are we saying here, Jay? Don't be frightened to talk.
Don't be frightened to talk. And I think, and as I say, I think, talk about the Samaritans. I've never run the Samaritans, but I think sometimes having that faceless person that you don't know is probably sometimes the best person to talk to, because talking to people is sometimes, because again, go back to our generation, showing weakness was not allowed. You don't show weakness. And even now I'm sitting there, thinking I got a bit emotional then, and I kind of thinking, should I cut that out? You know what I mean? Should I not show that? You know what I mean? Can I watch it back? That's the other thing. At the end of it, can I watch it back? And that's the thing. You kind of sit there thinking, if I put this on social media, I'm showing my weakness to everybody, and I kind of don't know how I feel. Don't know how I feel about it.
There you go. It isn't a weakness. It isn't a weakness.
Mm.
Do you know? I see it as a strength. Honestly, I do. To be able to sit and talk about things like that openly, that takes a huge pair of balls, mate.
Yeah,
quite frankly.
Thank you.
No, good on you for doing that. That was quite deep.
So I'm gonna end this and say, like I say, talk to people. Keep your eye out for your friends who are withdrawing, not necessarily struggling. All the people that say they're all right, they're not always all right.
No, definitely. They mask it. People are very good at hiding things.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. Yeah, you're right. And a big thing is the social media, which means everyone's got to be fine and perfect. It really is okay not to be fine and perfect.
Yeah.
But tomorrow probably will be.
You never know, mate. You never, ever, ever know. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. We're the Ironman. I'm Jason.
And I'm Steve. And you know what? We're here for you if you need us.
Yeah. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time.
Love each other. See you later, guys. Take care.